All right, welcome back, everybody, for today's trading recap. These are all the trades I made today during the pre-market and also after pre-market in our Discord channel. Didn't trade any commodities today, in the sense I didn't do any gold, I didn't do any natural gas, and I'm staying away from natural gas. Didn't do any crude, silver. The only thing that I did is I traded a couple indices, okay? So, and of course some stocks, and we'll look at all that. But the biggest winner for me today was on the mini NASDAQ. As you know, I love the Russell and the mini NASDAQ, and that's what I was trading today. So, starting off with the mini NASDAQ, I had a beautiful pairing entry on the mini NASDAQ that came in right before 11:30 Eastern time. Market was definitely looking weak, as I was starting to see selling coming in. Of course, we had some selling coming in as well on the mini Russell, so we took that as well. We'll show you those results here shortly. But on the mini NASDAQ, now one of the things that I do a lot, and you'll see me do this a lot if you're in our Discord channel, is if the market, if I'm short, in this case I went short, comes up and gets close to my stop as it does up here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell. I'm going to add to the short. And why would I do that? Because I have a lot smaller risk on this, and the probabilities don't change. I still have a very high probability that I'm going to come down and hit my target before I hit the stop. So what I'll do is I'll just take advantage of that and add to my position, okay? So we don't always come up. So a good strategy would not be to wait for these pullbacks and then add. Take your entry as the pattern says, but if you do pull up and you get close to that stop, that's where I want to add into it, all right? So I do that quite a bit. So in this case, it worked beautifully because I had sold initially with this pairing pattern setup, which is one of my four patterns, added to the sell up here during this bounce, and then I went ahead and took a beautiful profit on the mini NASDAQ, okay? Also had a really nice day in stocks. Let's take a look at stocks. Of course, being a Thursday, you know my favorite day to trade, so I do love Thursdays. Always seem to have good action, good opportunities. So let's take a peek at these stocks. All right, so here we go with ULBI. ULBI was the big one today for me. So let's take a look at these entries here. So basically, I ended up having a nice little pattern set up on ULBI. This came in within the first 30 minutes after I started trading. So I usually like to get on board around 8 Eastern and then trade all the way up till 9:30, and then at 9:30 we go ahead and we stop the live broadcast, and then I move over to Discord. So anyway, so I had a nice little entry on ULBI. I had 1, 2, 3, 4. This fifth one didn't come until after the entry, but I had a lot of clustering. If you look right here, you'll see definitely had a lot of clustering. That's usually really good for pulling the market higher. So I prefer to have a target that's going to be higher than that. But when I see this, there's a high probability it's going to continue to run. So I did enter, and I held this all the way into the opening at 9:30. And then that's when we saw the explosion. And so what I ended up doing is, when it finally broke through my upper target here, I was just writing it out. I didn't have anything else setting up for a higher target. So it was subjective on how I got out of it. So what I was doing, I was looking for any possibility of any red coming in. And of course, as it was going up, I was starting to fall. I went ahead and I took my order, put it in, and of course I got filled down here. So, I mean, that's all right, because you're not always going to catch the highs and the lows. But anyway, nice profit on ULBI. So did really well on ULBI. I didn't have to really add anything. I did start with a fairly decent size. I did not add on any of these pullbacks. It wasn't close enough to a stop for me to get back in or add more to my long position. So that's how I did it. I just played it and went ahead and got out. I don't even know if it came back the rest of the day. It may not have. And this is real typical for a lot of these stocks, is you get that big thrust after the opening and then you get out. I mean, very seldom do you want to carry these things after that initial run. If you've been watching my trading for a while, you know I like to get in before the opening bell. And then I always look for something like this type of explosion. These stocks are going to be on my watch list. So I have two different scanners that I look at. And they're all different in what they're looking for, but I like to see correlation between the two, between what they come up with. When they both come up with the same stocks, it's usually a good indication that I am going to get some sort of nice follow through after the opening bell. So that's how that works. So a lot of times, if I don't see that follow through, a lot of times you hold a little bit too long, which I have done before. It'll just start to go down and then it never recovers. All right. So that's something you want to watch. Make sure you're having that right out of the gate, big thrust up. If you're not, it's probably best just to go ahead and get out and stand on the side, because it's probably not going to be going up for the rest of the day. It's probably going to be coming down. So let's see what else. Let's look at our next asset. So UOBL. Let's look at the next stock. All right. So this was actually the second stock that I traded today. Actually, I'm sorry. This was a third stock. I did also put JDST on prior to this, but I held JDST for most of the day. We'll look at those results here in a minute. But HLX I also put on, but I didn't stay in this very long. I did have an entry here, and then as I started seeing these single prints coming up here, I really thought it was going to start picking up. I was a little concerned about these single prints over here, but I did get an entry on it, and then it just wasn't going anywhere. It just stayed sideways like this. Had a nice little pop up, stayed sideways. I didn't really like it. I didn't feel good about it. I felt that it was going to break. So I went and got out and made a small little profit on XLX. And then finally, let's take a look at one more stock. I believe this was, I think that may have been an HF2. I can't remember if that was an HF2 buy or not. But anyway, let's see. All right, so here's ABOS. ABOS was one of my losers today. It just didn't have anything behind it, unfortunately. I mean, it was really looking good. Really thought that maybe I can get up. I can't even remember where my levels were, but I think they're like 52, 53, something like that. But anyway, just didn't really have enough behind it, and I only wanted to risk 20 cents on it. That's pretty much what happened here. So I entered this. It was almost noon, which is, once again, not always the best time to trade anyway. So, but I did like the setup. I liked the pattern. And it really looked like we were going to have a nice little pop. And, you know, I was just going to go for probably 10, 15 cents. I wasn't looking to make a killing on it. But, unfortunately, it did not do that. So, anyway, it did fall down. And, I did not want to risk more than 20 cents. I ended up getting stopped out of ABOS. So, but overall, had a good day in my stocks. So let's take a look at everything. All right, so there we are. Once again, you know, indices are always been one of my favorites. I've been trading indices for the last 40 years. So I just love trading indices. So did very well on the mini NASDAQ, did well on the mini Russell. Not quite as good as the mini NASDAQ, but I'm typically going for much bigger targets on the mini NASDAQ than I am on the mini Russell. So in most cases, I will make more on the mini NASDAQ than I do on the mini Russell unless I put on more size, and I don't want to put on too much size. And then for the stocks, once again, was ULBI. That was my best trade. Yang, unfortunately, I just got into Yang too late. Actually, it had already kind of made its move, and by the time I got in, pulled back real quick, ended up getting stopped out, nothing there. XF, and that came in later in the day. XXII also was later in the day as well. That was on my afternoon watch list. I did trade XXII. Got out of JDST at the end of the day, so nice, some nice money on JDST. What else did I trade at the end of the day? I think it was it, no, not SGMA. That may have been the only two I put on the end of the day. GRPN, that was mid-morning, so GRPN had a nice little move. Surprised that it was moving so much, but overall, what a great day. And so, once again, I'm really trying, because I haven't been seeing a lot of these early morning bursts. So it's kind of like the market goes through cycles to where you have really good opportunities pre-market, and then after the opening, sometimes it just fizzles out. And then there's other times when you can get in pre-market, which is what I like, and then see that big thrust up first thing in the morning. And so I haven't been seeing a lot of that. I'm hoping that changes shortly. So what I've been trying to do is coming in, and instead of hitting some really big ones, just try to scalp. Just try to find a lot of setups and just try to scalp in and out of them. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. So a lot of trading for sure, but all patterns, all set up nice patterns, and a lot of times I only go for a short target. And there's going to be times when I'll be going for a short target and moves a little bit further than I would expect, and I can hold it or not hold it. Now that's the subjective part of trading. Is Einstein will give me very high probability targets. The question is, do you take this first target and get out early, or do you hold on longer and try to go for the second and third target, which means you may have to hold on to the trade longer? It's certainly up to you. What I like to do is I like to look and see what kind of volume or what kind of order flow we have coming in, and so I'm looking to see, do we have some size orders coming in, when it's going up, or are we starting to see some selling coming in and possibility of stopping it or pushing it lower? And so I kind of watch that real close in terms of how far up I want to ride it. My goal is I want to get in and out fairly quickly. I don't like holding a position too long. So, but anyway, that's something that we see and we discuss in our Discord channel. And if you would like more information on my approach, it's the same approach I've been using for the last 35 years, 36 years now of my 40-year career, trading career. I have developed a unique set of what I call behavioral patterns. I'm using 4 of them. And then Einstein, which provides me with high probability targets. All that information can be found on my YouTube channel, Beta Trading Strategies, or you can always go to my website to get more information. That's it. So we've got one more day here, Friday. Always said, be careful on Fridays. You never know what's going to happen. Some are better than others. In most cases, you want to trade that first hour. Okay, so 9:30, 10:30 is kind of that golden opportunity, even some pre-market. All right, but typically after 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern, got to watch it. Things can really start slowing down. So let's say if you're trading, you want to hit it early, and then just be cut down on your size, or just be careful going into the afternoon. All right, everybody have a good day. See you first thing tomorrow morning.